Take a look at disclosure. We'll get to the recap. Um, and here we are. So my name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. It's been a day, little frazzled, a lot of stuff going on, but all in all, really good. I think we handled it like champs. How do you handle a day like this like champs? You get prepared. You have multiple game plans. You get up early. You have your levels. You look at things multiple ways. But between what I do and between what everyone else at T3 Live does, you could see the plan a lot of ways. You could see it from a sauna, you could see it from the 630 Club, you could see it from 40 charts, you could see it from the morning call, you could see it from different personalities, wherever it is. It's, seeing it and taking it in and then figuring out what you want to do when you want to do it. Anyway, so with that said, I said this morning, if we break 659.21, there's a void to the 8-day. That's what they do on Fed. They loosen wide, stop people out. Sometimes they keep it down there, and sometimes they don't. So this time they didn't keep it down there, and it went to, just say this low now is your new point of reference at 654.30. Went down by 70 cents, but what do we say? Does it get below and stay below, or does it reclaim it? So once it got back above, the 6, whatever it's called, the 655-ish, you had to be a buyer, and it happened pretty fast. If you go here to the SPYs to take a look at it, the SPYs right here. Well, look at this. Let's go to the intraday on it. Intraday, got below it, can't even really see it, and then look how fast it came back above it with a pretty big candle. And then really, what was more important besides this candle, it was the commitment to it right here. Where it held higher. You could have bought 657s or at least covered here into that candle, and then you had a nice move back into the range to make it almost feel like, what's it called? Trends as usual. Go back to what you like. And in the meantime, during lunch, I definitely spoke about the relative strength in Tesla. Why was there relative strength in Tesla? Well, you look here, Tesla didn't even get to the prior day's low, let alone go down to its low of the day. Like this was right here. Where was the 2-hour chart on that? You can't see it there, but anyway, so this was the low of the day, and here you made a higher low, so it's 414. What'd you do in the SPYs? Here's your low of the day, then you make a lower low, and in Tesla you're making a higher low, and that's your relative strength divergence, and then you had a really nice move, and hopefully people made some money there. I would think they would have. But anyway, with that said, we'll see what goes on tomorrow. The quantum computing group in Fuego, absolutely in Fuego. You could have even made a little bit of money short, but we talk about what's a cute short. A cute short is when you could go against the trend for a trade, and there was one here, and then it closed really strong, 66.39. And now there's some kind of news out there that it has a deal with the government or whatever it has, and it's up again, causing a bit of a pain trade. Calculating, like how do you calculate ways to get in? Well, here is your day one. This was your wake-up call, and this was your breakout above 48.30. So there you go. Now you missed it, unless you're really scalping for micro scalps. QBTS, I got out of it today. I probably didn't need to. Look at that size of that move. Question is, will these things go to pull other ones up? QBT, has some room up to 21 if it wants it, but it is the laggard. RGTI made some good money, and I just got away from it. So some people are like, why'd you get away with some things or away from some things? Because, sometimes you just got to clean some things up. You got to take some risk down. You got to dodge a few bullets, and that's what trading is all about, like dodging a few bullets. I went from up a decent amount to down too much to back to my highs of the day, and I'm a lot more cleaned up now. If you look here at the virtual trading floor, there's a lot of stuff cleaned up now. You look here, like I'm out of Amazon shares, but I bought more options. I'm out of IBIT. I'll live until I'm out of Microsoft traded. Dash, I got stopped out of MSOS. I just felt like I didn't need to be in it. UMAC, I was greenish. Tiger, didn't need to be in it. QBTS, whatever. Cleaned up a bunch of stuff so I don't have to feel like I might be down, a week's worth of pay. Whereas instead, I got away from, what's it called? Uh, Harm's way and through Fed day, and now tomorrow usually there's a whole nother, scenario of what could transpire. So we'll see what that is. Sometimes you get a reversal of today, but today's nothing. I'm just saying, like the SPYs are, you know, down 60 cents. So what are we up 60 cents? That's why I kind of went to selling some premium, because if we go above 661 tomorrow, 663 tomorrow, chances are I'm making money in here. But I did reduce most. Like I reduced PDD. Look at that, trimming it all day after buying it last night, or yesterday, not last night. QS trimmed a little bit. Tesla bought in the hole, and then buy, sell into strength, so less risk there. PDD, we did that one already. Where was NBIS? Trimmed a little bit. JD, I had overnight trimmed. What did I do here? I actually bought a little bit more because I got out of some other things. I did buy some Amazon in the hole, buy, and then it had a big move, and then I bought a little bit more to have some more just in case. A little less risk for Friday next week, a little bit further out. Yeah. What's going on now? What was really strong? So yeah, again, so NBIS was very strong. Look at that, nice little close there. Again, I try and put parameters there. You could be long versus 86 to 88 if you are. You didn't get stopped out. You're enjoying a bit of the move. Or like I bought yesterday because I didn't want to be longer because of the Fed or this and that. I bought options that I think were up 100%. I don't know. Some of you guys bought the same options as I did. Anybody buy NBIS options? What percentage were those up? NBIS options. Those were up, I don't know, a bunch. PDD up a bunch. Bunch of things are up a bunch. Like Muncha Buncha. Remember that commercial? Muncha Buncha, Muncha Buncha. Fritos go in lunch. But anyway, this looks good. This is strong. Pony, strong. So a lot of things. We're just fine that we were in. A lot of good stock selection. Strong. Wolf, strong. Just poking its head above there. Iron, I'm not in, but strong. Look at that. Looks like it held the 8-day again. Did a red dog reversal. What's a red dog reversal? Well, it traded below a prior low, came back above it. So that's your reclaiming of levels. Amazon wasn't great, but did hold this trend line. So we haven't got to buy the strength trade. I haven't bought strength in Amazon in a while. Actually, I did a little bit in here, but whatever. So I bought a little bit more. Microsoft, held where it had to. We actually made a little bit of a trade with Microsoft at lunchtime. I lost a little bit of money on IBM, but it's still fine. Google, what did Google do today? Kind of letting the 8-day catch up. Nothing to do. Didn't do anything there. BMNR was good, yeah. BMNR looks like it's coming up a little bit. I'm not in BMNR. I just kind of got away from it. I left BMNR and then I went to the Wolf, which you could get a little bit more size and have a little bit more control. And it's not just Ethereum either. It goes up with Ethereum, but still. Hey Scott, what's up, Dave? T3 Live, my fantasy football specialist. How you doing? Am I doing something wrong here? Usually remember to support this and say hello. Anybody? Oh, need an ad. Public offering. Oh, so it's probably down a bunch. Yeah. That's the problem with some of those names. I did clean up UMAC. You know what? I'm just a little tired, at this point. It's been a day. A lot of volatility, a lot of back and forth. So let me just answer some questions from those who are here from the open house. Who wants to ask me a question? Did I hear you correctly earlier today? You did not have upside targets for stocks? No. I see how things react in certain areas. I put points of reference out, but I usually don't have targets. I think targets are crap. I think you have points of area. You see how they get through the area. You see how they react, and then you put a different point of reference. So Do I do measured move targets? Yes, but like someone's like, "What's your target on BBAI?" I'm like, "Well, let's see if you can get above 6 and hold 6, and if it does, chances are there's a potential gap fill strategy trade." Are you concerned that Wolf is trying to get shareholder approval to increase shares? That could be a little. I didn't even hear about that, to be honest. But the stock's not kind of approved yet. How do you decide what strike to choose for a call with closest expiration like to? So what I did with Tesla was, Tesla kind of figured if Tesla got above 425, the next real resistance, for the trade would be to 439ish, which is right here. So I figured if I could buy in the whole the 432.50s, and if there's another nice bull flag type trade here, I could buy them, and maybe by Friday, today's Wednesday, it could be a trade towards 440. So that's why I chose that one for near term. I figured I might not be able to, might not trade perfectly where I'm buying it, but if it were to hold here, which it did, gave us a red dog reverse around 411 and get through 425, you would think the next move would be 440. So I bought the 432.50s. I could have went a little bit higher and paid a little less. If it happened quicker, I'd get paid, but if it didn't, it'd be a little bit far out. And then I figured for next week, which is next Friday, I would buy the 440s, because if it got to 440, those would be up more, and then I can create a call spread by selling a strike higher. Some on the 3 minute, some on the 5 minute, some based on the daily chart, some by the eyeball, because I've been doing this a long time. Again, Tesla showed relative strength all day long. It did. Tesla, I went over to lunchtime, also. It really, this was the morning low, right? Was that the morning low? That was the morning low with the red dog reverse. We did the first one. It showed some strength, and that's what happened during the Fed. Didn't break the morning low when everything else went there. Then it held higher, and then it, kind of broke above the macro area. Now we'll see what happens tomorrow. To be honest, I don't even know how much I pay per trade. I have a decent deal because I'm the chief strategic officer, founding partner. My deal is I get the best deal, or I get the same deal as the best deal in the company. So I trade so much, and to me, I don't nickel and dime my commissions. I just make good money. So for you, if you were to come over and trade prop in T3, just talk to Josh, talk to Derek, and negotiate whatever your volume and commission is based on your buying power, how active you are. I do know we have crazy awesome economies of scale, and people usually come to us because we can get great deals on commissions and stuff, because we have, I don't even know how many associated members, but a ton. So we could get really good rates. I use Sterling. So Sterling is Sterling. I use Sterling, on the front end is like my old school watcher, where I'm a keyboard presser, where I have the same keys that we had in like 2002 to 10 programmed. Tesla, the 432 calls cost $385. That's how much you paid for them. I paid a lot less than that. Okay, so then go to Fidelity and get free commission. I think we might have free commission too. So what happened with those is I bought them. I think I bought them in 4 1/8. Alan always likes to question me, which is great. So I bought them. First, I covered them because I had them. I had those on as my call spread, and then I bought at what was it, 128. I think like I don't even remember. And then I got hit on that move lower, and then I sold some at 305 and 327. So I don't think I just made 1.4% on those calls. But thanks for trying to figure that out. You can go and do time and sells. I know that was one of my bigger P&L tradings. Right. So if you want to go to a some kind of free trading thing where you might not be trading at a firm that specializes in hosting prop traders, you could do that too. Right. So 385, and then what were the time and sales? I got out at 495, and then I think I got out some at 685. So 4 to 6, whatever that was. Okay. What else is another question? Fidelity is good for the long term. Yeah, you know what? Fidelity is. You could have multiple accounts too. You could have day trading accounts. You could have, a swing account somewhere else. You could have your retirement somewhere. Most people that trade at T3, and if they're licensed, they trade for a living. There is T3 retail too, I think, that some people get a little bit better economies of scale and could trade differently. Some people trade at Robin. You can trade wherever you want. I'm not here to sell you a trading platform. I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to say, hey, you know what? I've been trading for 30 years and I've been pretty profitable for, probably 98% of them. And, you could probably make some decent money. There is usually a free Robinhood has low option contract fees. Okay, that's cool. My son trades on Robinhood. He doesn't trade with T3. He trades with Robinhood also. He owns Apple there, and he owns Tesla there, and he owns BMNR there. Anyway, let's go back to. All right, so let's see. Dash. I got stopped out of Dash the low of the day. Probably didn't have to. Got loose and wide. Traded through the 8-day, so I got stopped out. Again, like I said, a lot of things happen today to stop people out. That's what happens on Fed Day, and then usually we rebuild, and then you figure out whether there's another trend or not. Even Amber, you don't trade every account at T3. You're a real person. There's other things you could do elsewhere. Shh. Okay. Anyway, what else was good? RR was good today. Still looks good. A little looser and wider, so this now goes up to here. It's no longer your pivot. BBAI, some guys made good money. I made some money, and then I got out of it, and then went back to it. Looks like, the market closed okay. When the market didn't look like we might bounce off the 8-day, that's when I started to clean some things up because I was like, you know what? If things change and I'm uncommitted to it and the market's not as loose, I better have less things on. And then once things started to get a little bit better, some things that acted well, I went back to. Like I went back to Rivian because Rivian wasn't horrible. Rivian's still an inside day. Maybe get back a little bit more, so I wanted to make sure I still track that. Yeah, QS wasn't bad. Bought some options yesterday, traded. It still looks good. This was, that's a nice little bull flag. MBS was awesome. Looks good. PDD was awesome. Look at that. Look at this. It's a lot of room ahead of there. Alan, what was the percentage that I made on PDD yesterday that I bought and sold today? Since you calculate everything, want to calculate that one for me too? Let's do it. Or you didn't watch that one? Where's Alan? Come on. Anyway, Mr. wasn't great. What do I think about SanDisk puts? I haven't traded SanDisk since 2004, but I'm sure. Let's see what it looks like. Woof! Holy camoli! What happened here? Jesus. It is extended. There's definitely a pain trade going on. Holy cow! When did this become public again? Yeah, I would think probably people started thinking it was overbought here, and then that happened. Holy cow! That's like you go to anybody ever play everyone ever play roulette in the casinos? I see a lot of people, including me. You walk around the table, you walk around the casino, and all of a sudden you see a big crowd around the roulette wheel, and there are eight blacks. Some people started betting red on the 4th black. Some waited for the 7th. Now you're on the 8th, and and all of a sudden you start betting, and now all of a sudden there's like 12 blacks in a row, and everyone's like, wait, could you wait? I got to go to the cash machine. I go to the cash machine, get me a marker because you feel like that red's going to come up. Well, that's what this looks like here. Wow. 94.81. I'll take a look at it tomorrow. This is even more overbought than IONQ. Remind me tomorrow to take a look at it. Thanks for bringing my eyes to it. But if this is what you look for some kind of puts or some kind of short in a strong trend, probably would have made a lot more money buying it than looking for a short when it got above this pivot right here. Gap up above this prior area. Anyway. Craps, you play every day in the stock market? Okay. Yeah, I usually, I used to just trade probably 80% equities, 20% options, and now I think it's like 50-50. Just because we had the Fed and a bunch of things like that, I went a little bit more probably skewed to options just because risk was premium paid and I didn't want to get caught, getting undisciplined and buying and buying and buying and then something really crushing me or back and forth. Yeah. Depends. Depends on the trade. I've probably made more of a living trading equities than trading options. Just in the last year or two, I started trading a little bit more options because I'm also a little bit more stretched. So I do a little less pure day trading. What did ASTS do today? ASTS looks better, a little better. Looks like you could see this area. CBRL, what's that? Ugh, that looks pretty damn gross. Right here, what a trap. It looked like it was going to break out and then that candle happened. I hate when shit like that happens, excuse my French. That would have had to get you out right there. But so this is a good lesson. This thing is trending. It's above the 8-day. It looks like it's going to break out. Everyone's excited. Then trap. Even right here, that would have been your out. If you were in it, yeah, that hurt. But if you're like, well, it broke out the other day, it's going to continue. Then, yeah, hammered after hours too. Good. So breakout failures mean something. Look how much more power this candle had. That's a predatory move, my doggies. Anyway, um, Lily. Lily's, I hear a lot more about it. I drew this trend line a while ago. Looks like it came right to it. Did a little bit of a reversal. A little bit of a red dog reversal. Got through, came down into some resistance. So you'd want to probably see this hold, hold around here. Let it rebuild. Probably came too far too fast to trade through this downtrend. So a little bit of sideways action in here I think would be good. Would be much better for Lily. Spotify, the All In podcast. Who listens to the All In podcast? It's a good one. You surprised I'm not in BMNR? You don't even want to know. I was in it and I screwed that trade up. But that's when I kind of went to, this looks pretty good. Above the 21 day, going sideways, former leader. I like it. How would I frame this trade? I'd say you could be in it versus 675, meaning if you don't want to overtrade it, if you don't play for breakouts, if you don't play for momentum and you think it's going to go, I would say in order for this trade to, hold 675, that would be one way to do it, and then add to it if it gets above 715. If you think you want momentum for this to show some leadership to get back towards even here, which is, 748. So there's lots of ways you could do it. Sometimes you could buy versus support, so you're in there, and then add for momentum. If you do that, that's a swing trade. If you just day trade, then you have to just day trade for momentum when that happens and really be a little bit more perfect. I think, Sterling Professional. Yeah. I should have been in BMNR. It's fine though. I'm really not that upset about it. I had it down here for everybody, and I just got away from it. That was when all the other treasury ones were going nuts, and I just felt like it was a little bit becoming a SPAC type thing. But I also switched to Wolf then, which was somewhere around here. So percentage-wise, I think we did just as decent. Maybe not as great, but who cares? You're right though. Yeah. Well, anyway, IWM's not going to be looking so good now. It's going to have to repair fast. Bit of a topping tail. Got through 241, couldn't hold it. So did it get above and stay above? No. Got above and came back in. So that was your pivot area. CVS. Is that where you do your drug shopping? Looks pretty good. No. Boom, clone sideways. I'd say in order for this to hold and be a good trade, if you want to play for new highs, you buy it. It's got to hold here, then maybe it gets above there. Looks pretty good. Oh. What's my SPY target till the end? I don't have a target. I had a target to start the year. We already got through it. Um, how about this? Here's your new point of reference. If we don't break below 654, you can't get too bearish. And in order to get to 670, you're gonna have to get above this. And for right now, it's very loose and wide. So this became loose and wide, and now we see how it goes from here as the trade just, changed. It was better to know where this low is today, so you could have, either got stopped out, got short, and it would have been nice to know where support was. And now we'll see how long does it need to stay in this range. As all the people think, September is a bad month for stocks. So this is your new range. We've had this a bunch of times happen. So for now, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Yeah, you want to see that? Well, that'll be how I end this today. Or you know what? I'm going to do the multiple counts. Are you going to Raul or Ryan? Are you going to be here on Thursday? So Thursday I'm going to do a happy hour. Thursday I'm going to do happy hour from 5:30 till 7. And in there, I'll go over some more of my things that I've learned from 30 years of being in the markets. Things I've learned by trading through the NASDAQ bubble bursting, the financial crisis, when then I was on TV for a decade on CNBC, and then I've been on a decade with Fox Business. Um, and at 52, going to be 53 next Sunday, what I've done, the do's and the don'ts, and what I think I could have done differently to put myself in a better position today. That usually I do that during happy hour, not during like a recap where, I have to get going soon. So I'll do that then, I promise. Since September has not been bad, does that mean we will have a bad October? That's what they said when August wasn't bad. They thought September would be bad, and then since the first 2 weeks of September wasn't bad, now they think the second September. So who knows? The sequence is the sequence until it changes. A lot of times they had a chance. Remember this, bearish day, which we got down to a lot of our risk and got a little pain, and then that happened. Well, this could have been the end of the sequence, and then they filled the gap, and then we held, and then we went. This could have been the end of the sequence. When we went below the 21 day, we only stayed below it for a day. So at some point, the bears or the active sellers need to have enough pressure to keep us below the 21 day for more than a day or two, and then maybe we go to the 50 or the 100 or lower. But for right now, we played with the 8 day. We're well above the 21 day, which will probably be right here. Here's our new point of reference. I think tomorrow will be, a bit telling because usually you get some kind of trend day. What is my take on crypto? I think Bitcoin is going to get going soon. It probably needs a little bit more time because it doesn't really, the seasonal pattern for crypto is more October, November, so it's only mid-September. Is 123,000 the high of the year for Bitcoin? I don't think so. Is where we just went to an Ethereum the high? I don't think so. Those are the two I stay with for now. I'm not an alt guy. I don't trade crypto anymore where I used to, back in 2020, I was trading NASDAQ small caps and the NASDAQ and big cap. I had 12 different altcoins and all the stuff going on in my Coinbase account. I had 6 figures in my Coinbase account, and then I learned a lot during the 2021 debacle where I learned that altcoins you could sell 75% of them into strength, hold 25%, then they go down 50%, you buy more, and then they go down another 40% where they're down 90% off highs, and gave back a lot, and it was a lot of brain power. So I don't do that anymore. I trade Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're using the ETFs. I have a crypto account where I have some long-term stuff. I've said you could buy Bitcoin and Ethereum every single month, probably for the next decade, just the same way you could do with gold. And every now and then there's great trades in crypto when it's trading momentum using our momentum rules, the same rules we use for, for anything. Above the 8 and 21 day, it's a good long, showing nice strength, and there could be momentum there. Sleepless in New Jersey. Yeah, just like that movie, Sleepless in Seattle. I was trading all night. Actually, I had a lot of great trades where, the best thing about that time, when they were so loose and wide, I would know my levels, and I'd put like good till cancel orders in, and I would sometimes get filled and wake up and be up thousands of dollars and be like, oh yeah, I got filled and it came all the way back. I guess that's what happens with people who trade S&P futures. They put some bids in, they put some offers in, they wake up like, oh, I got triggered here, I got triggered there, I got stopped out here. I don't do that anymore because my days are too long. 4:45 I'm up. I started a little bit of a new business, Red Dog Mindset, alongside being a chief strategic officer of T3 Live, and I have a lot going on. So the last thing I need to do is be up all night checking crypto, checking S&P futures, because that there's no longevity for me there that way. So I sacrifice my crypto trading overnight and my S&P futures. I'll do enough intraday. Busy, 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 busy bee. All right, guys, I got to jump. I'll see you guys in the morning. Hope you had a great day. Hopefully tomorrow things kind of settle. We see where the strength is. We see some trends resume, and we go from there.